Hey Shlomo, how are you?
I'm fine, Diego. How are you?
Pretty good, thank you. Today we have this very exciting thing to discuss about between you and me. Did you see the last picture that the world in 2021 by the Economist was published?
Yes. I did have a look. Yeah,
It's
a lot of things might be
it's pretty good, pretty interesting, huh?
very interesting. Very interesting. What prospects we are looking at around the world.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at each icons that the economies published on that image, I mean, it's they chose for 2021 the slot machine, and looking at the picture, I mean, there are some details and some icons I'm really interested into. So, for example, just looking at the cover, the gamble slot machine. You know, when we look at the slot machine, we think about Las Vegas or Macau or Monaco in Europe. There, all these people going and betting. So maybe they intend to say that the war is going to be like a gamble slot machine, shooting a message to the common man. So the future will be undefined. The first feeling that I have when I look at the picture is the uncertainty. From one side is the uncertainty of times that we're plunging ourselves into, and on the other time also the opportunity. Because when you go and you bet on something, you have either ways. You lose everything, you gain everything. But basically, you leave it up to chance. You throw dices, or you press the slot machine and you wait. Now, um, I wonder, and that's my first comment. I wonder whether this slot machine it's a thought-provoking image, or they really believe that the war will be totally abandoned up to chances. So that's my first thought.
Absolutely, Diego. We don't know. It's absolutely what happened in the last year with the pandemic. There have been uprisings around the world. There has been major presidential elections. There has been so many things that have happened to our lives. Economy, the world economy, the U.S. economy, and everything is it's at stake. And we don't know where we are heading to. Pandemic, will it end in the next year? Nobody knows. The vaccines, how good it be? I don't know. Nobody knows. So it is a gamble slot machine as of now. You're absolutely correct, Diego. And yeah, I mean, it depends on how the things unfold. Next year. That's all. That's it. It should be like that. Yeah. So if you see the four rows of the symbols interpret the events and happenings around the world, and in that the second row symbols, they do not have the shadow cast. They don't have the shadow cast on them, and the rest of the three rows are still rotating. And this suggests the second row is confirmed to be the most dangerous row. Now, what do you mean by the most dangerous row? I think, according to me, I feel that if it indicates to be dangerous, that can mean either of the following things. Maybe the pandemic might strengthen. This is a dangerous thought. Maybe the vaccines that are going to come, people might have a lot of after effects of that health wise, which may have a different kind of a concern around the world. It may have, due to the economic crisis, the world may suffer more because of the cash flows that are going into making the vaccines and the health of the people around the world. There may be a nuclear war. Who knows? There may be a nuclear attack that we have been seeing the tension all around the world about the Chinese government, what they're trying to do in the South China Sea, and what the world is trying to do. Uh, so you never know, the second row, what they might indicate. Any thoughts, Diego, on that?
Well, I think obviously I agree with you, and your observation is very acute. That actually the second column, let's call it row or column, is the only one who is very defined in the three and a half symbols, as we see TikTok kind of hidden below. But I also think that the slot machine in this case should be read not just vertically, but also horizontally. Like we have to probably crisscross some icons on both sides and connect them. Like you're right. If we think about a betting, then yes, we go by rows. But I think in this case, the image should be read also horizontally. So, for example, we see uh, the nuclear bomb on top, but we see also the COVID symbol or the virus symbol to the left and the question mark to the right, leading to a graph. So the reading of this slot machine is not that simple, and I understand that the nuclear bomb could be anything. For sure, we see Biden face and we see the American flag ripped off. So that to me is in the center. You see to the both the left and right of the machine there are like pointers, red arrows, and the red arrows point straight in the middle at the face of the newly elected President Biden and dollars, of course, but mostly is pointing at the face of the president as a symbol, of course, not just as a person. So I think you're catching this right. And if you go to the second row again, and the nuclear bomb, of course, it's black and it's ominous, as you see that it's not pointing down, it's pointing up. So it's basically going up to the sky and God knows where it's going. I would like also to give us a different take on that, just because we have to be positive. So when we see a nuke like this, we think about war. But what if we could turn this into a positive things by talking about the nuclear energy that maybe can be converted into some other energy or some other clean energy, or perhaps that the nuclear energy was just fade away. You see, it's almost disappearing from the screen of the slot machine. So hopefully, it's my hope, of course, that the nuclear energy, the way it is conceived now, destructive, can disappear and give way to a cleaner, better, and more usable free energy, which we know that uh, there exists in the cosmos. So maybe a war, maybe not. It's in the same column with the US, because we know that the US policy has always been very aggressive to the world. But in this case, if we look at the flag and if we look at Biden, I mean, I have doubts that actually America can start a war. I have many doubts about this.
Yes, yes, that's a very positive point of view, Diego. I mean, we have to be positive. I mean, we can't afford a warfare like the two world wars that we had, and it is an absolute calamity if that would happen. And we can always think of, especially under the new president elect, we think of other energies that can be directed into. Very, very good thought, and even I support that. Well, if you see, obviously, we just said Biden coming onto power. The second symbol of the second row shows Biden coming onto power, and I really think that this new president elect Joe Biden, along with Vice President Kamala Harris, would like to have a good effect, especially on my country, India. Even Joe Biden, when he was the vice president during Barack Obama's rule, being a Democrat, he always had this allegiance towards having good ties with India, good investments, good ties for foreign developments. And and and, and I think he will get, even though, I mean, Donald Trump had a very good relation with us, with the Indians. I think this will may have the opportunity to go to a different level altogether, if not the same level. And Kamala Harris, people may know that she has a very good connection. I mean, her mother was born in Chennai, and maybe because of that lineage, that emotion, if we see, if it's just a thought, it may have a better future with India as a relationship. Yeah. So that's what I think. Maybe your thoughts on that, Diego.
Oh, you know the geopolitics of India a lot better than me, so I'm totally following you on this. I hope that this new president also. I mean, India. It's a huge country. It has so many resources, and it plays a pivotal role in Central Asia. Actually, it stands between Central Asia and Eastern Asia. It's one of the key countries. For example, for China Belt and Road Initiative, is the only country that can open to the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean to a massive level. And also, it's one of the first producers of pharmaceutical products that basically serves all the Western countries. So India plays a major role also in mitigating, for example, the conflicts, the tension with Iran and
Yeah.
or Israel. So that America has a good relationship with India, it's positive. Let's see what America will do now that we see here in the row the American flag is ripped, and it's ripped not in a linear way. If you see the shape by which it's ripped,
Yeah.
it's actually lightning. If you look better, the white rip is like a lightning strike in the flag. It's not something just ripping it, but it's striking the flag. So it means that there must be, in the economist's opinion, some sort of event that breaks America into two parts. Breaking America into two parts, it reminds me what Lincoln said when he rose to president. He said, uh, America will never be destroyed by outside. If America will be destroyed, that will be from within. And these words are actually very, very intense, because you can understand how President Lincoln meant that only Americans can destroy what they built uh, so strongly, and all the founding fathers' principles, and the prince and the the courage and the blood that was shed for making America free. Now, if we think about America being a free land like it was before, well, Shlomo, let me doubt about it. America has changed. That's a everybody can see that. America is not the America that the movies still try to pitch it. It's a different country. It's a chaotic country. It's a country full of hatred, anger, and there is a huge emptiness in American people right now. Because if you see someone that, sorry, I don't want to step into politics, but I think this is important for us to say. If we have a president who received 70 million votes and lost the elections, it means that America is already divided, because these 70 millions who support Trump, that will not turn to Biden, that will not hail Biden as the savior of the country. In fact, this election only embittered those who support Trump and will continue to do so, because that will make it personally. And that's what destroys a country. Like America was strong before, because no matter whether Democrats or Republicans rose to power, all the Americans would accept that and would actually um, salute the new president and be united. But this time, I don't see it, and probably the economists don't see it either,
Yeah.
based on this picture.
Absolutely, Diego. There was a huge gapehole. Even when Trump came into power, there was a lot of people who did not approve of him. I personally have nothing against anyone, but there was this, even during the pandemic, you won't believe it. My personal friends were staying in America, California, Boston, San Francisco. They are afraid to get out. They are afraid to go out of their homes, citing the rising corona over there. People don't even wearing masks properly and going, mixing with people just like that. So cases keep on rising, and it's quite a horror story over there. Even what happened with the black person being, killed by a policeman some months back, the uprising. Yeah, that does not, reflect good upon the U.S. The U.S. government. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a good thing that, there's been a new president elect, and we can only hope that things turn back into a good situation from here on. But yes, it is already a really a gape hole, a tearing effect of two sides, wherein one side is still holding on to, why was the old president gone away with, and another side really is looking for the future. They are relieved that we have a new president elect who will actually have better effects on this pandemic, may have better developments going into the future about the outlook. We always know that Democrats are much more, I mean, a much more liberal, and the Republican side is a bit more, close knit. They promote the American culture over there. The immigrants are not let in, whereas the Democrats are much more liberal, like presidents like Barack Obama, presidents like Joe Biden. They welcome the entire world. So maybe there might be a difference of opinion. There might be a rip in the two parties, but yes, let's hope for the future. It should not break down further what it has already. Yeah, and if you see, like we are in the situation of all these things happening apart from the pandemic situation. Now if you see, if we talk about the first row, it shows that corona is going to be prevalent in the coming year, and that is a grave concern. It has affected a lot of economies around the world, especially the US economy, and also the Indian economy, even the Italian, even the, there has been fresh cases of corona in England. They say that even the vaccine won't be effective against it. That is a scary thought. And if you see, even all the vaccines that have come, including the Moderna vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, the Sputnik vaccine, even the Indian and the American legions, that Serum and the Oxford, the AstraZeneca vaccine, the other Covaxin, all of them, none of them says it's 100% foolproof. All the vaccines say it's 90%. It's 90% correct. What about the balanced 10%? The balanced 10% means that there is a chance that person who has taken that vaccine may has a 10% chance of getting corona once again. So that does not, that is the reason why the statement can be there, that corona may be prevalent among a few. Even if it's there, it's among a few, there's a chance again the whole world getting it. So yeah, so corona will be there. It won't just vanish away. There's a lot of prediction that went, around December, around January, when the vaccine comes, around March, April, it will the corona will almost disappear, but that won't be the case. Your thoughts on that, Diego?
Well, my thoughts on the vaccine is very radical, more radical than yours, Suomo. I really appreciate your hope that vaccine can solve the problems of this virus, but I already said that last month on my phobia series. I said the vaccines might not be effective 100%, but will be hurtful, harmful 100%. The 100% will destroy the
Yeah,
immunity system, will make our life very dangerous. And why? Because of the way these vaccines have been produced, and because, like you said, there no lab at this point has still isolated this virus. No one in the world has any idea of what this virus, where it came from, how it was manipulated, and whether or not they're making things such a messy and confusing that even the scientists, for the rush to bring the solution to something that has no solution because it was staged, because it was fabricated, so they're trying to put out vaccines as fast as they can. But we heard already of news of volunteers taking the vaccine, suffering migraines, headaches, confusion, disorientation, and other minor or major illnesses. So personally, I don't believe in this vaccine, like I didn't believe in the effect of this virus is the way the media are putting it forward. So it's like they're trying to fight a lie with a lie, and obviously the result is another lie. What makes me uh, a little bit doubtful about the presence of the virus next year is the fact that in this image that we see in the Economist, on both the first row and the last row, yes, there is the beginning of virus and the end of the virus, but at the corner, is not in the center row. Okay, it's in the margin of the year, which means that whatever is the virus, that's what started and what will end. So it's like 2 points, the beginning and the end. That will be the virus, as I said in one of my articles, Trojan horse. There is something that hides something else inside, a lot bigger than that. It's like a hat. So you're right in a simple terms that the virus will always be there, but has always been there. Whether we call it finance, we call it technology, we call it manipulation, we call it, it's a virus. The virus is everywhere. We also, our body, have millions of bacteria and viruses that lay dormant until someone activates it. So in so much I agree with you that a virus is a major thing for years to come. What I question is the nature, the real nature of this virus, and how uh, the governments and the economies of the world will manipulate that to the damage of people. And speaking of which, technology and social media and everything, of course, we couldn't miss in this picture TikTok, which is very popular now. I work with China, so I know TikTok when nobody in Western world knew it. I used it since at least 2 years, and now it's very popular. It's breaking through the other social media world, as being purchased also, I think, by a Western country, at least for the Western part, and it's spreading so fast. So it's one of the player in, obviously, in this year, if we think about technology, and also because of Facebook and YouTube and other major tech giants now are facing potential lawsuits. I think you've heard about it in America
Yeah.
for breaching from the antitrust and breaching the privacy and the control over people's posts and personal information. I mean, these things, the fact that the texts were protected by the Congress, so they could censor anything they wanted on their platform on the basis of preventing pedophiles and terrorism. Is like Zuckerberg from Facebook said it extensively when it
Yeah.
was heard at the Congress, but he just kept repeating the same thing. We use this for pedophiles and terrorists, but no, it's not true. You use it for every single thing that it's far from the status that they want to maintain. And we have an example, Shlomo, with our social dilemma interview. Like we were
Yeah.
blocked just because we didn't talk about things that everyone expected us to talk. We talked about completely different things, and we got blocked. So the censorship and data technology, it's still it's not equal, it's not democratic, it's not free. If we think that internet and the social media are free, we're wrong. It's not free. We are paying the price every time we use them, and the price, it's so far has been very high. Our personal information, our personal identity, our
Yes.
virtual identity, so all of this is at stake, and we are making the technology company earning billions of dollars out of this.
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, absolutely. And Diego, it's not only TikTok. I mean, you see, there are other applications just like TikTok, like Instagram Reels. Then there is something like, some other, I just forgot the name. There has been a lot of applications that are coming up because TikTok was banned in India, and there was a lot of other applications that have come. So it's not only TikTok. My views, TikTok is definitely will be playing a big role, but a lot of other portals also we will be playing into their hands, and they will be earning big monies. And our personal lives, the simple things in life that gets affected because we actually get so excited and get into that zone where we go to those portals and make videos and try sharing with people. And we waste so much of our time doing that, which is absolutely not at all anything, not at all productive. Yeah, if someone does something constructive over there, then that might be of some importance, but that is far and in between. So these kind of portals, they definitely plays a big role in the entertainment, but yeah, there's not much productivity, and we just surrender to them, just like that. So our lives get affected. You're absolutely right. And if you see how our lives getting affected, talking about once again the vaccines, while you said that the vaccines will absolutely affect us, it won't in fact make much of a development, or it won't protect us that much. We will see the face of daylight, of the vaccines. The vaccines will see the face of the daylight. And according to the first row, if you take a look at the color of the vaccine is green, and it's that means it's poisonous and hazardous. Traditionally we have maintained that the color of the green might be associated to nature, but then again, when it's come to a chemical, or when it's come to a medicine, or whether it comes to a vaccine, which is the same, the color green means poisonous. Now, I would take a couple of examples to support this. Like you said, immune system will be affected when we take the vaccine. There's already some reactions. There was this woman in the U.S. who took the Pfizer vaccine, and she
Exactly.
completely passed out. Yeah, and then there was some other information about people having allergies to the Pfizer vaccine, which has made some of the research institutes in the US, tell those people, or tell the audience at large, that if you have some historical allergies, you should not take the vaccine. Or
Exactly.
if you do take it, yeah, if you do take it once, you should not take it twice without consulting a doctor. And so that makes me really concerned about the whole thing about the vaccine, of how good it will be, how it will impact our lives. It's really a concern. And you know what? If I may add a joke to it, the Brazilian president Jair Bolsonaro, he said that the Pfizer vaccine is not taking, the company is not taking responsibility of any side effects that we may get after taking the vaccine. So that is really a concern. And he said that if you become a crocodile, or if women start having beards, the company won't take any responsibility. Now that's joke, but that's a concern as well. How can a medicine company not take responsibility of side effects, if any, and especially when you have a new vaccine? So that is a cause for concern, and I completely support this. The vaccine being poisonous and hazardous, and as you said, it will definitely affect our immune system. Your thoughts? I think it'll be the same. Yeah.
Absolutely. It will be the same. And by looking at this image in the raw, the syringe, that it's the color and all the way it's pictured, it's not something positive. It's not something that we should look at and feel uh, uh, happy to do so. You're right. There are signs already that this vaccine, it's at the best totally ineffective, and at worst can cause collateral damages that may be even worse than the virus itself. I mean, let's just remind ourselves that this virus is nothing more than just an influenza, maybe empowered artificially. But if you keep fit, if you keep healthy, if you conduct a healthy life, and above all, if you're not afraid, then there is no way whatever activates this virus that will be activated in your body. Fear is one of the catalysts for triggering any illness, anything, because every illness starts from emotional condition first, then it goes to the body. Traditional Indian medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, traditional European medicine, all the traditional medicines that followed the way of nature taught this, that every illness, every disease that we have has an emotional start first. It's emotional origin first. There is a compensation with some lacking in our emotional way. And then our body responds, of course, as an antenna and gives different physical outcomes. So the vaccine is not going to equilibrate, to recalibrate your energy level. The vaccine is just going to act directly on your cellular makeup and mess up with your antibodies. You already have antibodies. So it's just trying to, let's remind us, Shlomo, that the vaccine are cultivated into dead tissues. Dead tissues, whether it be horses, like in the case of HIV, or dead fetus, or dead monkeys' tissues, they are grown into a dead material, dead matter. Then it's cleaned up, multiple treated, maybe additional enhanced, and then given to the public. So there is no way something that grows into dead matter can bring life, or can keep life, or can restore life. If the vaccines are effective, it's by chance because people feel better. It's like a placebo effect. They feel better and they feel safer. That's my take. It's very radical. I told you already, very radical. So I don't expect you or other to agree on this that extreme. But uh, most of, like when you said people fainting, passing out, having strong headaches, of course, I absolutely, that's normal for me because you are injecting something that our body rejects, something that our body don't recognize. Even scientists don't even know our genetic makeup in the fullest. How can we encode something external and expect that it works with our coding system at the DNA level inside our body if we don't
Yeah,
even know how our DNA really works? We don't know it. And
absolutely.
moving to the third symbol, which is connected, we see that a masked something. So I would like to point out at the image because it's very particular. If you look at the second row, Shlomo, you see President Biden displaying Caucasian white man features as it is. Then we go back to the first row and we see, look at the person or that thing wearing the mask. It's not human, in my opinion. It could resemble something like Asian people, maybe because it's a yellow complexion and the slanted eyes, but it's not. It's not. The face is completely rounded. The features are very, very least human, and it's wearing a red mask. So either this, it's a for the Economist, an accusation towards Asian people that are wearing masks. Why? Why the color? I think everything here is important to be considered: the color, the shape, and everything. So, who is going to wear masks? Well, we know already that Asian people wore masks because of the pollution, and that's how I find it really effective. Wearing masks because of the virus is totally ineffective, is useless, and again, it's harmful. It's harmful for the materials contained into the melting cloth by which the masks are made, and because it keeps it shields you from the natural environment. And if you keep the mask, wear a mask long enough, your bacteria, your internal microenvironment is going to be altered, and you even risk with your own internal bacteria, they have a reaction because they have no output with the external, there is no exchange with the external environment, so they are going
Yeah,
to activate other defenses. It's like if you cage yourself in a very small environment, you can't get out. After a while you go crazy and you have some unexpected reaction. It's the same thing. If you keep wearing masks, especially outside, you have no interchange with the environment. I'm saying
mm,
for long enough, not to protect yourself from pollution or from dust. That's okay. But I mean, I see people here, I don't know in India, I see people here driving with a mask,
oh,
running with a mask, going out with a mask. Like they live literally. I'm even suspecting that some of them are keeping the mask inside the home, inside their house. I mean, we are that extreme. So, yes, maybe the 2021 will see people completely muzzled because that's what it is. I see people completely muzzled like dogs, but it's not going to be any better. If we combine the vaccine, we continue to wear masks, we are killing ourselves.
yes, Diego. The last line which you said is absolutely, it's absolutely, if you take the vaccine, then you wear the mask. Then what was the person of the purpose of the vaccine?
Exactly.
It's absolutely a paradox. I mean,
Exactly.
the fact that the new normal will be wearing masks in 2021. We already have been wearing masks in 2020. Now we need to change that in 2021. Then why are we getting the vaccine? If you don't take the vaccine, maybe, yeah, like you said, sometimes a bit you can wear the mask sometime. Once you get into fresh air or you drive a car, you don't need the
Exactly.
mask.
You don't need.
If you get into an environment where there are so many people, there's pollution, yes, do wear a mask to
Maybe.
protect
Sure.
your internal. Yeah, but wearing a mask for a long time, even I go for walks and I don't, I may carry the mask in my hand and I just wear it when there is a lot of a lot of people, a lot of pollution. I don't wear it when I'm in fresh air or my driving my car. I don't wear it. So that's the way it should be. And if you take Once you take the vaccine, whatever it does to you, it's no point wearing the mask. So you're absolutely right. I completely support your opinion, and even I have the same opinion. In fact, if you look at the first row, the most vicious symbol, we already discussed this. Will there be a trigger a nuclear attack? Anything can happen which will trigger a nuclear attack, and it can be seen in continuity in the next row. Well, we have already discussed that. If we say that maybe there is already a rift in the world, maybe you will have China, Pakistan, and Turkey on one side, and then you have the others like India, US, and the rest of the world trying to combat that. Now, that if situation aggravates, we just hope that it doesn't happen. Like I said, we are not in a position to afford another world war, and definitely another nuclear attack, even in the borders of India. It's not absolutely called for. We are prepared, but it's not something which I will say that we should look out for. It should not happen. And that energy, which, like you said, Diego, this can be put into some sort of other innovative energies which can bring a new development, a new thing into the world, which will give us a lot of a bright future, maybe a bit more support the economy, and some other energy which will really support us. So this thing about the nuclear attack, the trigger, we already spoke about, but still I would like to hear your thoughts on this.
Yes, in this case, Shlomo, we can try to read this first row horizontally from left to right. So if we see there is a virus on the margin, on the very edge of the picture, and then we go to the nuclear bomb, and as you said, yes, let's try to be positive. Let's see this bomb as disappearing from our life and becoming something else, becoming some clean energy. Still, of course, the atomic energy is very important and very powerful. Is the way the atomic energy is obtained by the forcing the atom to split and to generate neutrons in a chain reaction and then liberate this huge energy that we use to kill. That's the wrong thing. In nature, this energy is present everywhere. The atoms also release energy all the time. Electromagnetic fields are always present. So there is the possibilities we tap into free energy. That's one of the reason for in 2016, while Trump was being elected, China started the GAICO program, the free energy program. They wanted to invest trillions of dollars with countries in Asia and Africa, try to create an energetic grid to bring energy everywhere in the world. Now, I don't hear about this project anymore that much, obviously, especially in this period. But I think what they were trying to say is that there are alternatives to hydrocarbon or fuel-based energy and the nuclear energy, especially nuclear energy for warfare, which is absolutely a nonsense. It's insanity, it's pure insanity. So if we keep reading horizontally, we see the question mark and then a kind of financial graph. So that leads me to think that maybe both the virus and the nuclear bomb are still at the edge of the screen. It's uncertain times, like you said. We really don't have the crystal ball. It's impossible to understand because this slot machine, of course, it's moving, as you said. The virus has a shadow, the question mark has a shadow, the graph has a shadow. So they're moving, they're rolling. So this is like a screenshot of probably 2021 will freeze like this. If we think about it, then yes, there are uncertainties in the events, but we also need to remember, and I want us to remember that for the most part is our choice. It's what do we feel and what do we think, what do we project as a world population that will determine outcomes. We have to remember that politicians or governments alone do not decide the destiny of the world. If we fail to think this, it's better if we just leave the planet. I mean, we have no hope. So if we want to keep hope, we have to be absolutely certain. We have to trust the fact that mass thinking, mass emotions can actually drive the world to one or the other choice. So it's our choice, individual choice. If we choose to put the nuclear bomb to the center of 2021, the nuclear bomb will be to the center of 2021. If we decide, if we want, really want it to be in the margin, in the edge, that's what will be. No government can decide the destiny of the world. Even if World War II that you mentioned before, one person, Adolf Hitler, he tried to decide the destiny of the world. He couldn't. America, they couldn't. They had to ally. They had to create some mass movement to determine the balances of the world. So you need numbers. We need numbers, and we need numbers that are together toward a common goal. Now, the question mark, I think, means that whether we want the outcomes to be positive or negative is totally up to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. The uncertainties in the events, you never know what is going to absolutely unfold in the next, not only next year, in the next couple of years, basis what is going on at the moment. Now, if you see the third row, second symbol, is the dollar, which shows that the dollar is going to fall, and we can see the next symbol is the windmill, is because it is a sign of energy, sign of electric power and the sustainable and the renewable source power that has a much smaller impact on the environment compared to the burning of fossil fuels. Now let's come to the dollar first, and then we can go on to the other sign of energies. Now the dollar has been falling, and I will give a background to this. You see, traditionally, China, they always raise bonds, and people all over the world invest in it, and the payback never happens. China has done that traditionally, and recently they've also did that, and that's the reason why a lot of people, a lot of lives, a lot of people's retirement monies that have gone into the bonds in China, and they don't, and the state of China keep it all hidden. You cannot track your investment. You don't know where they are, and that what's happening is the Chinese are getting a fillip in their yuan, uh, their currency. Right now it is at 11.26 rupees. It was going up, and of their other activities with which they have acquired land in Sri Lanka and other parts of the world, wherein they had given loan and the payback didn't happen and they've mortgaged it. Now that these policies show that, and especially the US, a lot of people, and on the Wall Street, the corporates in the Wall Street, they do this. They have taken the monies of the people of the United States and invested in China's bonds, and that they never come back. They made monies, but the common man,
Exactly.
that never made monies, and that's why the dollar is falling, and that's how the Chinese is gaining. And that is a true thing that has happened, and I completely support this. And this is something which the American government has to look into. They have to see that in order to get the money back, what steps can be taken, or may have to take a course of action wherein they refrain from investing in the Chinese bonds, make people not invest in the Chinese bonds. So that is an action they have to take. Otherwise, the dollar will fall further, and what will happen? And speaking of the other energies, the symbol of the windmill. So we were speaking of the nuclear energy being, if we see it from a positive point of view, we can, look at some kind of an other energy which will absolutely impact the environment, even if it's in smaller impact. A windmill gives you a lot of energy. It takes the air energy. It forms tidal energy, and a lot of other sourceable, resourceable, renewable energy, which absolutely benefits humankind all over the world. And that is something which we can look at in the year 2021, and that is something which will impact the environment in small quantities, but it will not affect the environment. It will benefit the environment. And what impacts the environment, what actually impacts the environment from a negative point of view, is burning of fossil fuels, pollutes the environment, warfare, nuclear attacks. They pollute the environment and they cause harm. So that can be not good supported, and the supporting of this renewable source of energy should be given a fillip, and that's what I look at. So yeah, your thoughts on that, Gio?
Well, actually, your analysis is pretty accurate, and I agree with you. And also, I just want to add how the economists put together the elements in the same column. As you see, with America and Biden, we have the nuclear power, but with China, we have the dollars for the reasons you just explained, and the clean energy. So that's, I think, what we're witnessing right now, the biggest difference between the China geopolitical direction and the American one. The American one wants to foster, as Trump said it also this year, he said we have weapons that we never seen before. We have weapons that no other country has it. I mean, Trump uh, continuously talked about weapons and weaponizing America and everything, while on the same time was withdrawing the troops from Middle East because, of course, the money is not as it used to be, and it's not sustainable anymore to have wars everywhere like America tried to. On the other hand, we have China not speaking that much, but of course they also have. An extensive weaponizing system, and they showed it last in 2019. I think November 2019, when there's the annual military displays, and also during the National Day 2019, I was there, so I saw it. They displayed. Quite a huge arsenal, and I hope that it always stands as a demonstrative things that never have to use it. But China also is pushing forward electrical energy based on clean sources and free energy, and they always advocate the importance of using this energy to connect the world, to link the world together. Many times, China has said, other countries may raise walls, obviously. Indicating how Trump's wanted to build a wall to keep Mexicans at bay from crossing the border. But and the Chinese went on and they say we built bridges, and they built that huge bridge that connected Zhuhai with Hong Kong. Is the longest bridge in the world. It was also inaugurated last year. So I mean, we have two different vision, two opposite vision in the world right now, two different poles, and not I don't think they can coexist, but I'm sorry if I have to think about clean energy brought forward from a communist, so-called communist. There also are capitalists, of course, but let's say from a communist political party, and nuclear bombs displayed by a so-called democratic country like America try to pitch itself. Well, I choose clean energy. I really don't care about the political take. I'm not afraid, like many Westerners are, that if China takes over, it would be another Soviet Union. They really don't understand Chinese system, but I do know, because we've seen it already in history, that if America takes over the world, the damages are great. If this America takes over the world, if America, not the America that was founded by the founding father in 1776, and probably was okay until the beginning of 1900. If you ask me, things started to be sour in America when they first worked on the nuclear energy in the 30s. Up to the 1930s, America was still uh, was still a model to follow, and was a young country, was growing, was trying to to make the steps in the world and everything. Once they started to tap into the nuclear energy, and that's when things took the wrong turn, and we're just now paying the consequences of those decisions still. The 30s and the 40s are the years where the world decided its own destiny, even now.
Yeah.
uh, China, so as I said, is a symbol generating clean energy. Yes, of course, every superpower alone, it's up to monopolize the system, and it's never correct. We always need balances. So if China in the future rose to power, then we have to have other countries balancing that out to keep a kind of an equilibrium. So that's my take. China may race, America may rip apart, but even in this completely capsizing of the geopolitical scenario, we still need at least two poles balancing each other, and I hope they will do it in a peaceful way.
Absolutely. I think, Diego, the to combat such economies, US economy may get ripped off, Chinese economy is trying to get gain over the world. You need new economies to come up. So, and we have seen that. I mean, the Mexico, Vietnam, maybe a bit of India. We can have new markets emerge to combat the emergence of any one monopoly over the world, and that is a good way to have competition in the world, and a good feeling around the world, a clean energy around the world. That is definitely, that is one way of looking at it. Yes. And so if you come to the fourth row, first symbol, it shows world markets will be on rise, and this would indicate a turning point in people's life who want to earn. So if you have emerging markets like Vietnam and Mexico and India, you can have more investment into those markets, and you will have a lot of investors making money. When you carefully look, you see four whole buttons of the machines. One can only imagine the economic system. It includes four quarters of stock market. Below first whole button indicates BET and the last quarter, which indicates there will be huge money making opportunity for small investors. So there you go. So to combat that monopoly, if you have emerging markets, then you can have new small investors who can look a silver lining at the end of the tunnel of investments, which will gain some mileage, which will make money making opportunity into people's lives. And in turn, after every catastrophe you've seen, after the First World War, after the Second World War, the economies have bounced back. And that's how, maybe after this pandemic, maybe like you said, if we direct the energy into a clean energy in the future instead of economic or a nuclear turmoil, we may look at the economy bouncing back, and a lot of emerging markets like Vietnam and India and Mexico and others also make a comeback, and there will be a lot of earning opportunities, and the economy will come back and bounce back, the world economy. Yes, your thoughts on that? I think.
I totally agree with you, and the financial part will always be present. And as I step into the last row, the last column, because I'm looking at both horizontally and vertically, I would like to spend a few words on that, and then if you allow me to close with obviously the usual positive message. I also want to point out at something that I see here that it struck me a lot for being very acute. So, okay, on the financial, it's always very important, absolutely. Uh, how the financial system is treated in this world so far has been still originated in the 30s, basically between the First World War and the Second World War. That's where the financial system started to rise and set up as the system which is now based on the debt. So basically, we pay for other people to get rich. So that's the financial system that we have now. It's everything we have or everything we're giving as a debt. Like we become automatic debtors or anybody who gives us some stuff. And the debtors means that we have to return what we are giving with interest. And this happens everywhere in any topic, any subject in life, from social sciences to plain economy to our life, and especially the social media when it comes to our personal identity. Uh, so we see the coin. Now I just want to point out with you at the structure of the slot machine. We see a coin, it's injecting money, okay, to make the slot machine so that the system work. Okay, so there will be always an injection of money, because as much as the money is injected into the system, that system becomes a debtor of the money maker. So who makes the money and injects the money into the country is not to, in my opinion, of course, my humble opinion, is not to save the economy, but to maintain the economy under debt. Okay, so that's the reason why some economists are very careful when it comes to injecting new money, recapitalizing, or creating more money surplus. And that's one of
Yeah.
the reasons why there is a war, sorry, pardon me the terms, the financial war between China and the rest of the China banks and the rest of the banks, because China has announced that they want to take out completely the cash and the currency, and they want to implement a full a virtual currency, not just for the financial transaction, but for all the citizens and China allies, which means that On the other hand, we have the Western banks that they want to do the same thing, but not for the
Yeah.
citizens. They want to keep the citizens using the normal currency, like trackable cards, transaction, everything, and the virtual currency only using for financial transactions. So only from company to company, from company to banks, from government to banks. If China succeeds in widening this opportunity to all its citizens, 1 billion people, and the allies, like you said, Vietnam, Cambodia, Southeast Asia. They even invited Japan and Korea, which are historically allied with with the US, but it seems like Korea and Japan will accept the deal with China. Something that which means America would lose all its power on the Pacific Ocean, like you said before, the South China Sea and everything. So if the finance steps into everyday life with no more cash, no more money, virtually there is also less debt. That could be more control, okay? But there is not so much debt as it was before. And that's why the central banks in the West are trying to wage war to China on this. They're trying all they can to stop this. And this is something that is not happening right now. It's something that it takes back at least 2 or 3 years before. I was in China in 2017 or 16 when they first started to talk about this and implementing the currency free or cash free policy. And that put the world under utter freight. Like they were so afraid about this. And then all it started. And I tell you one more thing, Shlomo. I think this virus thing of this year, it's a deeply connected to this. It's absolutely connected to the financial more than anything else. And that's the reason why we have the virus in the last column under the financial graph. And the icon of the camera, actually, it's pretty scary because it has a multiple meaning. It's not just about the social media or, yes, working at home, implementing technology. It's also that we are being watched. We are being controlled
Yes.
by artificial intelligence. The only thing that the economists failed to put here in this screen, and I think it's a huge missing thing, it's artificial intelligence. They didn't put it, but artificial intelligence, that's what next year is going to happen, and it will be massive. Trying to put artificial intelligence into our everyday life for the purpose of controlling us. If you remember in the beginning of 2020, the beginning of uh, this fake pandemics in March or April, when the emergency started to spread all over the world, Boston Technology, the American artificial intelligence manufacturer, started to sell the robotic dogs to Singapore. Singapore took it and put it in the parks to check, to control people that were actually wearing masks, keep distancing, or respecting the rules. And those pictures were really insane. Like you see this headless mechanical four-armed machine that they call it dog, but it was not a dog, of course, just there deployed on the park watching. And now there are talks that the Boston Dynamics is being bought by Hyundai, the Korean car manufacturer. So
Carbon.
this is so scary. And I want to add something to this because, yes, you're right. The sectors like medical and financial and technology will be the three main sectors that are prevalent this year, next year, and in the years next. The medical, because they're trying to turn the world into a medical totalitarian regime where people are scared to death about even shaking hand without getting vaccines or without wearing gloves or masks. So they are trying to destroy all the emotional uh, relationship that makes our world and ourselves as human beings what we are. They're trying to turn us into machines when their emotions become dangerous, any personal contact become dangerous, everything must go through medical analysis. This medical analysis, it's insane. And I'm surprised how things don't see it. The people don't see it. People only see that the vaccine are going to save the world and that this virus is a punishment from above, and that we have to keep distance. We have to keep isolated to save ourselves. To do what? Because people are afraid to die. People die every single year in millions because of
Yeah,
alcohol, because of cigarettes, because of accidents, because of killing each other. Comparatively, they don't die so much for disease. We die more
absolutely.
because
They,
we kill ourselves, and because we go
our
to the
eating,
extreme.
our eating habits. You can see our eating habits, diabetes. Yeah, yeah,
We don't take care of ourselves and we die. Now we want to go to the extreme by isolating ourselves, caging ourselves into protective equipment and getting injected, but still keeping the same old habits. Still keep smoking, still keep drinking, still keep eating bad, still keep eating industrial products. And we expect that the vaccine or the protective masks are going to save us from disease. So that's the insanity. So you see, Shlomo, here, the problem of this slot machine, and I think why our life is left to chance, is because we lack of this. We don't think anymore. We have no logic. We don't observe things on how nature works. We forgot about everything. In 100 years of materialism, technology oriented, and social media bombing, brainwashing, we are forgetting who we really are. Our true nature, we completely forgot it. It's almost like the virus came up as a conclusion of a process of degradation, degrading consciousness into something far lower than animals. We cannot call ourselves animals anymore because animals have their own balance. They have a strong intelligence. They always know how to adapt and to save themselves from any circumstances. But we are totally unable to do that. We are lost. We are lost.
yeah, absolutely.
And one last thing that I would like to say, Shlomo, it's if you look at the world, okay, there is a planet on a stick to the right of the machine. The lever by which we activate the slot machine is the word is there. So why is that? If you look at the base, the orange base where the coin is, we see rays, kind of a sun. Okay, so that could be our solar system. And if you see in the background of the screen, we see blue like the sky, like the universe. And then we see the stars on top. That could be lights, but could also be the stars. So in fact, I think that this slot machine represents, we can read, the universe with the solar system, the cosmos on the back, our planet as one of the system and the stars, which means that from next year on, we should stop looking at the events just on the Earth-based phenomena. We have to start thinking that everything happens here has a huge repercussion and cause at the cosmic level, as we are entering into a very important shift in our galaxy. That's something that we cannot discuss now, but the galactic shift is coming. And the fact that our miseries in our world are described here, framed by the universe, I think is also emblematic. From 2021 on, we should stop just thinking about the Earth and our planet, but we have to think about our planet into a, a huge system, a wider system, and that system affects us and we affect it. And we better think about this, because in the coming years we will see how our planet is more and more influenced by at a cosmic level, and we will have probably some surprises about this.
Yes, absolutely. We have to see from a different angle, as you said. So we have to see how we as a planet evolve over the next few years. And and even if you see a symbol of a camera which indicates work from home, working online streaming will play an important role. Like a lot of companies across the world has, in fact, software companies and advertising and all these things, they have actually conditioned work from home. And a lot of builders, a lot of corporate, you see there are a lot of corporates and a lot of companies who are into building residences. They are giving work from home spaces for their new flats or their new homes for the people. So that is quite a smart move from their part to sell their properties. And lastly, as we had again discussed before, the symbol on the fourth row indicates COVID will still be around. So yeah, as you said, it's our call how we treat it. Should we take the vaccine and just depend on it and just carry on with our lives as we have been doing, eating bad, drinking explicitly and smoking explicitly and having a cigar, or we can actually go away with all these maybe once in a while, or just try to improve our lives with more of exercise and eating good. Just do away with the cigarettes. Celebration champagne is fine,
Sure,
but it will be a
of
healthy
course.
body. If we have a healthy immune body, then COVID being around would not affect us. Whether with a mask sometimes, whether without a mask, vaccine won't help us. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
absolutely, and I would really think you will also say the same thing to sum it up, Diego. Over to you.
Yes, I think I would like to bid farewell with you with one last message for everybody, which is never forget who we are and where we come from, because our origin is also the source for our salvation. There's nothing more that can save us other than keep loyal and faithful to our origin. If we don't know where we come from, it's because we have forgotten, and that should be the route to where we have to walk toward, trying to rediscover or remember again where we came from. That's the solution for all our problems. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Diego.
Thank you.
Thank
Until
you.
the next.